Leo was a boy full of vibrant curiosity. He loved the feel of clay in his hands. He adored the rustle of book pages turning. His early school days were a whirlwind of questions, explorations, and shared discoveries with his classmates. He would spend hours building intricate towers with wooden blocks. He would draw fantastical creatures with bright crayons. His laughter often filled the classroom. He learned by doing, by touching, by interacting directly with the world and the people around him. This hands-on approach fueled his imagination and his eagerness to understand. Then the shiny new tablets arrived, one for every child in his third-grade class. At first, it seemed like magic, a universe of information and colorful games at their fingertips. The promise was that learning would become more engaging, more personalized. Teachers spoke of new educational apps. Parents nodded, believing this was progress. Leo, like his classmates, was initially thrilled by the novelty. The bright screens seemed to offer endless possibilities. The classroom buzzed with a different kind of energy, a digital hum replacing some of the human chatter. However, a subtle change began to creep over Leo. The boy who once eagerly raised his hand now often stared blankly at his screen. He became quieter, more withdrawn during group activities. His interactions with his friends lessened. Instead of collaborating on a drawing or a building project, he and his peers were often engrossed in their individual digital worlds. The joy of shared discovery started to fade. He seemed to be waiting for the tablet to provide answers rather than wrestling with problems himself. His natural inquisitiveness seemed to be dimming. Leo's teacher, Miss Anya Sharma, watched with growing concern. She had taught for 15 years. She knew the spark of genuine learning when she saw it. In Leo and in many others, that spark was flickering. The tablets, meant to be tools for empowerment, often seemed to create a passive learning experience. The rich, messy human process of education was being overshadowed by the cool, sleek interface of technology. Leo's story is not an isolated incident. It is a quiet narrative unfolding in schools everywhere, prompting us to ask if our embrace of technology has come at an unforeseen cost to our children's development. Classrooms of the past were different. They were filled with the sounds of voices. Teachers stood before blackboards, chalk dust on their fingers. Students scribbled in notebooks, their heads bent in concentration or raised in eager questioning. Learning was an active, often collective experience. It was a direct exchange between human minds. There was a tangible quality to the tools of education, the weight of a textbook, the scent of a freshly sharpened pencil, the texture of art paper. These simple things grounded learning in the physical world, fostering a different kind of engagement. Then came the digital revolution, sweeping into our schools with promises of transformation. Technology, we were told, would make education more exciting. It would cater to individual learning styles. It would prepare students for a future dominated by screens. The allure was powerful. Interactive whiteboards replaced chalk. Laptops and tablets became standard issue. Educational software claimed to make learning as addictive as a video game. The vision was one of streamlined efficiency and limitless access to information, a modern upgrade for an old system. This technological embrace was fueled by various pressures. Parents, understandably, wanted their children to have every advantage. They saw technology as a key to future success. School administrators, facing budget constraints and demands for measurable outcomes, looked to tech for solutions. They hoped it would improve test scores and streamline teaching. And of course, tech companies themselves played a significant role. They marketed their products aggressively, portraying them as indispensable tools for 21st century learning, creating a sense of urgency that schools couldn't afford to ignore. But in this enthusiastic rush towards a digital future, critical questions may have been brushed aside. What are the long-term effects of constant screen exposure on developing brains? How does technology mediate and perhaps alter the vital relationship between student and teacher? Is the kind of learning fostered by digital devices truly deep and meaningful, or is it often superficial and fleeting? We must pause and consider whether the siren song of technology is leading us towards a brighter educational horizon, or perhaps into more complicated and less understood waters. One of the most significant challenges posed by ubiquitous technology in schools is the relentless battle for students' attention. Young minds, still developing the crucial skill of self-regulation, are particularly vulnerable to the constant stream of stimuli that digital devices provide. A laptop or tablet is not merely a neutral tool for learning, it is a gateway to a universe of distractions. This gateway is open right there on the student's desk, often just a click away from the assigned task. It demands a level of impulse control that many adults find difficult, let alone children and teenagers. Imagine a student trying to follow a complex history lesson or solve a challenging math problem. Their device, intended for educational use, simultaneously offers access to social media notifications, enticing game alerts, and the vast expanse of the internet. The temptation to quickly check a message or to switch to a more entertaining tab is immense. Teachers consistently report that students are adept at appearing focused while actually engaging in off-task activities. This isn't necessarily a reflection of defiance, but rather a consequence of placing powerful entertainment devices directly in the path of focused learning. Even when technology is used for its intended educational purpose, many digital learning platforms are designed with features that can inadvertently fragment attention. Bright colors, frequent notifications within the app, and game-like elements, while sometimes intended to increase engagement, can also encourage a mode of rapid, superficial interaction. This contrasts sharply with the sustained, deep concentration required to truly understand complex concepts, to read challenging texts, or to think critically about new information. The very design of much educational tech can pull students away from the focused mental effort that underpins genuine learning. The consequence is that learning can become a secondary activity pushed to the periphery by the more immediate allure of digital distractions. This constant toggling between tasks, known as multitasking, is a myth when it comes to effective learning. Instead of doing multiple things well, the brain is forced to switch rapidly between them, reducing efficiency and comprehension for each one. The classroom, once a space dedicated to focused intellectual development, risks becoming another arena where young minds are trained for distraction rather than deep engagement with knowledge. The distractions enabled by technology in schools are not abstract concerns. They manifest in tangible ways every single day. Consider the high school student assigned to write an essay on Shakespeare. Their laptop, essential for research and writing, also pings with messages from friends. A new video from a favorite YouTuber pops up as a recommendation. Suddenly, the bard takes a backseat to group chats and viral clips. What should be an hour of focused work becomes fragmented into short bursts of writing interspersed with extended digital detours, significantly diminishing the quality and depth of their learning experience. In elementary schools, the situation is similar, though the distractions may take different forms. Young children using tablets for educational games can easily stray into less productive territory. Many apps are designed to be intensely stimulating, offering rewards and leveling up, much like commercial video games. When the educational content becomes challenging, the allure of a simpler, more instantly gratifying game on the same device is hard to resist. Teachers find themselves acting more as tech support or screen police than as facilitators of learning, constantly redirecting children back to the intended task. The problem extends beyond obvious diversions like games and social media. The internet itself, while a valuable research tool, is also a labyrinth of information, not all of it accurate or relevant. A student researching climate change might start with reputable sources, but quickly find themselves lost in a sea of opinion pieces, misleading articles, or simply an overwhelming volume of data without strong guidance and well-developed critical thinking skills. Skills that technology itself does not inherently teach. Students can become more confused than enlightened. The sheer volume of information can be paralyzing. Furthermore, the ease of finding quick answers online can short-circuit the learning process. Instead of wrestling with a problem and developing their own understanding, students may be tempted to search for a pre-packaged solution. This copy-paste mentality bypasses the critical thinking, analysis and synthesis that are essential for true comprehension and long-term retention. Technology, in these instances, provides a shortcut that circumvents the very cognitive efforts that build intellectual strength. The path of least resistance often leads away from meaningful learning. Beyond the immediate problem of distraction, there's actually a deeper concern: the potential for excessive technology use to gradually erode students' capacity for sustained focus and deep critical thinking. Our brains are, remarkably plastic. They adapt to the environments and tools we use most frequently. When young people spend many hours a day interacting with devices that deliver information in short, rapid bursts, their brains may become conditioned to expect constant novelty and stimulation. This, in turn, can make it increasingly difficult to engage in activities that require prolonged concentration. Think about the act of reading a complex novel or a dense historical text. This really requires sustained attention, the ability to follow intricate arguments, and the mental space to reflect on meaning. If a student's brain is accustomed to the quick dopamine hits of social media feeds or fast-paced video games, settling into the slower, more demanding rhythm of deep reading can feel, arduous and unrewarding. Some educators and researchers observe a declining ability among students to engage with lengthy texts and a preference for summaries or video explanations over primary sources. This shift has, honestly, profound implications for academic success. Critical thinking, too, relies on the ability to focus, to analyze an argument, to weigh evidence, to identify bias, or to synthesize disparate pieces of information into a coherent whole. These are not quick processes. They require mental quietude and the space to ponder. The constant barrage of notifications and the pressure to multitask fostered by our digital environment can actively undermine the development of these essential cognitive skills. Learning becomes less about thoughtful inquiry and more about rapid information retrieval, often without sufficient processing or critical evaluation. This isn't to say that technology inherently makes students less intelligent. Rather, it risks cultivating a different kind of intelligence, one that is adept at scanning and multitasking, but less skilled in deep, reflective thought. The worry is that we are training a generation for a world of surface-level interactions, potentially at the expense of the profound intellectual engagement that has historically driven innovation, creativity, and true understanding. The very architecture of our attention may be subtly, yet significantly, reshaped by our tools. The human brain, especially during childhood and adolescence, is a marvel of adaptability. This neuroplasticity allows us to learn and grow, but it also means that our environment significantly shapes our cognitive development. When technology, with its inherent characteristics of rapid-fire stimuli and constant connectivity, becomes a dominant feature of a young person's environment, it inevitably influences how their brain develops. We are, in essence, training young minds to expect and even crave frequent shifts in attention, which can make sustained focus a much harder skill to cultivate and maintain. Cognitive scientists often speak of attentional switching. Each time we switch our focus from one task to another, say from a math problem to a new email notification, there's a cognitive cost. It takes time and mental energy to disengage from the first task and re-engage with the second. When students are in an environment saturated with digital devices, they are constantly invited to switch their attention. Over time, this can lead to a state where the brain becomes less efficient at maintaining deep, unbroken concentration, which is crucial for complex learning and problem-solving. Moreover, many digital experiences are designed to be highly engaging, often leveraging principles from behavioral psychology to keep users hooked. The intermittent variable rewards found in games and social media, the unpredictable likes, comments, or game achievements, trigger dopamine releases in the brain, creating a compulsion loop. This makes these digital activities feel highly rewarding, often more so than the slower, more effortful process of academic learning. The classroom then has to compete with these powerfully designed stimuli, a competition it often loses when devices are readily available. This rewiring for distraction has long-term implications. The ability to concentrate deeply, to filter out irrelevant information, and to resist impulsive shifts in attention are foundational skills for academic success and for many professions. If these skills are not adequately developed during the formative school years because the environment prioritizes or allows constant digital interruption, students may enter adulthood less equipped for the demands of higher education and the workplace. We must consider the kind of cognitive habits we are instilling through our current educational practices. Education is not solely about the transmission of information, it is profoundly social. Students learn from their teachers, but they also learn immensely from each other. They develop crucial social skills, empathy, and the ability to collaborate through face-to-face interactions. However, the increasing integration of technology into schools can inadvertently reduce these vital human-to-human connections, potentially leading to a sense of social disconnect among students, even when they are physically together in a classroom. When students are engrossed in their individual screens, opportunities for spontaneous conversation, shared laughter, and collaborative problem-solving diminish. Group projects might involve online collaboration tools, but these often lack the nuance and richness of in-person teamwork. Reading social cues, understanding body language, and learning to navigate disagreements constructively are skills honed through direct human contact. If a significant portion of a student's interaction is mediated by a screen, the development of these essential interpersonal competencies can be hindered. We learn to be human by being with other humans. The nature of online communication itself can also contribute to social challenges. Misunderstandings are more common without the benefit of tone of voice or facial expressions. Cyberbullying can occur, often unseen by adults, causing significant emotional distress. Even well-intentioned online interactions can lack the depth and warmth of real-world friendships. Students might accumulate hundreds of friends or followers online, but still feel isolated if these digital connections don't translate into meaningful relationships. The quality of connection matters far more than the quantity. This potential for social disconnect extends to the student-teacher relationship as well. While technology can provide new ways for teachers to communicate information, the core of effective teaching often lies in the personal connection a teacher builds with their students. When instruction is heavily screen-based, or when teachers spend more time managing devices than engaging in direct dialogue, that crucial bond can weaken. Students may feel less seen, less understood, and less motivated if they perceive their learning experience as primarily an interaction with a machine rather than with a caring, attentive human being. The concept of the village effect underscores the profound importance of strong social networks and face-to-face interactions for human health, happiness, and development. Schools are, or should be, vital villages for our children. They are places where young people not only acquire knowledge but also learn how to navigate the complexities of social life, build supportive relationships, and develop a sense of belonging. When technology use becomes excessive or displaces these essential human connections, we risk undermining the very foundation of this educational village. Prioritizing human bonds in schools means, consciously creating opportunities for genuine interaction. This could involve more collaborative, hands-on projects that require students to work together in the same physical space. It means encouraging discussions where students can share diverse perspectives and learn to listen respectfully. It involves valuing playtime and unstructured social time, where children develop crucial social skills organically. These activities build empathy, cooperation, and resilience, qualities that are arguably more important for long-term success and well-being than mere technological proficiency. Teachers are the key architects of this village. Their ability to connect with students on a personal level, to understand their individual needs, and to foster a supportive classroom community is paramount. Policies that reduce administrative burdens and allow teachers more time for direct interaction with students are crucial. Professional development should emphasize not just how to use new technologies, but also how to cultivate strong interpersonal relationships in the classroom, and how to recognize and address the social emotional needs of students in an increasingly digital world. Ultimately, rebuilding or strengthening the village in our schools requires a shift in perspective. We must see technology as one potential tool among many, rather than the centerpiece of education. The true heart of learning lies in the dynamic interplay between students, teachers, and a shared quest for knowledge. By fostering strong social connections, we create an environment where students feel safe, supported, and motivated to learn. An environment where they can truly thrive, not just academically, but as whole human beings. This human-centric approach is fundamental. The concerns raised about the pervasive use of technology in schools are not a call to abandon it entirely. Technology, when used thoughtfully and purposefully, undoubtedly offers valuable benefits. It can provide access to a wealth of information, support students with diverse learning needs, and help develop certain digital literacy skills essential for modern life. Interactive simulations can make complex concepts more understandable. Research databases can broaden horizons. Assistive technologies can open doors for students with disabilities. These are important contributions we should not dismiss. However, the central argument remains an over-reliance on technology, or its indiscriminate application in the classroom, may indeed be hurting our students more than it helps. The potential for distraction, the erosion of deep focus, and the weakening of social bonds are serious risks that demand our careful consideration. The key lies in finding a judicious balance, in recognizing that technology should serve as a supplement to, not a substitute for, proven pedagogical methods, and most importantly, meaningful human interaction. It is a tool, and like any tool, its effectiveness depends on how, when, and why it is used. Moving forward, schools and educators must adopt a more critical and discerning approach to educational technology. This means asking hard questions before adopting new tools. Does this technology genuinely enhance learning in ways that traditional methods cannot? Does it support deep thinking and sustained attention, or does it encourage superficial engagement? How will it impact social dynamics in the classroom? Clear guidelines for device use, including tech-free times and zones, can help create space for focused work and social connection. Teacher training should focus on pedagogical integration, not just technical operation. Ultimately, the goal is to cultivate wisdom, not just information access. It is to nurture curious, critical thinkers who are also empathetic and socially adept individuals. This requires a holistic approach to education, one that values the richness of human experience and connection as highly as technological proficiency. By walking the digital tightrope with caution, intention, and a clear focus on the overall well-being and development of our students, we can harness the best of what technology offers without sacrificing the essential elements that make education truly transformative. The future of learning depends on this careful navigation.